Good morning and welcome to the Senate Executive Departments and Administration Committee. It is February 23rd, 2022, and today we're going to start the day by hearing Senate Bill 454 and recognize the prime sponsor, Senator Rosenwald. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, I'm Cindy Rosenwald from Senate District 13, which is Nashua. And I bring before you today Senate Bill 454. It's a bill to study the information collected by the Division of Vital Records when a woman gives birth in New Hampshire. As you know, Vital Records is part of the Secretary of State's office. New Hampshire is the only state that does not house vital records in the Department of Health and Human Services. It was there until 2003, when it was moved to the Department of State as part of the budget trailer bill. I asked Senate Research to see if they could find out the reasons for the move. They could only point to one sentence in the trailer bill, which said it was to consolidate vital records with other records maintained by the state. So we don't have any record of discussion surrounding the impact of moving these records that contain some extremely private information. At the hearing, the ACLU did mention that they had some privacy concerns, but that was it. It was really no discussion, and it was done as part of the budget. I'd also point out that the move was made before the HIPAA privacy rule was enacted, with its standards, guidelines, and stiff fines for violating HIPAA. DHHS is covered by HIPAA, but the Secretary of State is not. So every birth in New Hampshire, obviously, is recorded by the Secretary of State, and they issue a birth certificate. This includes details such as when and where the birth occurred, the name of the baby, the name of the parents. This completely makes sense to be housed in the Department of State. However, much more information is collected from the hospital or birthing center and the mother and transmitted to the Secretary of State, although it's only used in eventually de-identified forms by the Division of Public Health, which is located in Health and Human Services. Public Health regularly de-identifies protected health information for important projects, for example, tracking low birth weight babies covered by Medicaid and maternal substance abuse issues. The Department of State does not use this information, although they maintain it in identified form. So what kind of information do they collect from the hospitals and the mothers? I'm not going to hand out the worksheets to you because the Vital Records Division does not make them public, but it's covered in RSA 5C19. And I'd be happy to share these worksheets with you privately, but out of respect for Vital Records, I'm not going to distribute them where they would become part of the Vital Record. I do have a copy with me here today if you have questions. So the mothers are asked to fill out a form which is transmitted to the Secretary of State by the facility. She's required under 5C to provide her medical record number, her height, her weight, both before she got pregnant and at delivery, whether she drank alcohol while pregnant and how much, and whether she smoked before and during pregnancy and how much. She is not given the opportunity to opt out of answering these personal questions, and it is required by statute, and she is warned that if she lies, it's a Class B felony. In addition to this extremely personal information that we require women to tell the Secretary of State, the facility also sends confidential health information there, including the date of the woman's last period, whether she is breastfeeding, what medical procedures she had during childbirth, her medical conditions and risks, and whether she was using drugs. So I don't know about you, but I'm extremely uncomfortable with the idea of all this private medical information being held by the Secretary of State. They do not use it, and they shouldn't. They state that they have strict confidentiality rules. I'm sure that's the case. I haven't found it in statute, but they're not covered by HIPAA, which has stiff federal fines for violation, and it's also can be enforced by attorneys general on the state level. Breaches of protected health information can and do occur and have in New Hampshire. And once sensitive information is exposed, it's almost impossible to undo that. So I believe we need to take a good look at what's being collected and where it goes. There are options. We could move vital records back to HHS, where we would be like all other states. We could split up the information and have the hospitals transmit the information that becomes part of the birth certificate to state, and all the public health and medical information to Health and Human Services. We could leave everything as it is and make the questions about your health background and your social habits, we could make that optional. But I don't believe we should do nothing. And so all the options I just mentioned have pros and cons, but I think it's prudent that we take a look at what we're doing and what might be a better process. So before we act, I think we should study and look at the options that exist to protect women's privacy and babies' privacy, but also make sure that we have access to good public health data for statistical analysis and planning. So that's why I'm here today with Senate Bill 454, and I'd be happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony, Senator. Are there any questions from the committee? Senator Reagan?
So for a while now, we've limited the number of senators to one and expanded the number of representatives, but it's not done here.
If the committee wanted to make changes to the makeup of the study committee, that would be your prerogative, and I'd have no problem with that.
And my other question is, you seem to have thought this out very carefully. Why didn't you just present a bill to make the changes?
Well, I really think that it's more than a policy discussion. I think there are costs to do anything. And I really think, so if you make the reporting optional, you're going to have fewer people report and you're going to have worse data. If you move vital records back to Health and Human Services, then they have to transmit information to the Secretary of State. So it's kind of like the same, but in reverse. And if you split up where the information goes, so the hospitals and birth centers report separately to two different departments, that might be the most logical, but again, there would be a cost and a burden on those facilities, plus a cost on the department. So I think it's more prudent to look at it and bring something back next year.
Okay.
Are there any further questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, Senator. Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak to Senate Bill 454? Representative Edwards, would you come forward, please?
What is this for?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. For the record, I'm Representative Jess Edwards. I just wanted to speak in favor of SB 454. In the last year, I participated in a HHS oversight review, a privacy audit in the department, and the department was actually the Department of Health and Human Services. They were actually very open to participating in the audit, and we found a bunch of things while we did that. And what I'm hoping will happen in legislation that'll come before this House is that we'll establish some privacy infrastructure so that the department can routinely be sensitized to the need to protect personal information. But in the meantime, I do think that there's a legislative role, and this legislation would give us a role to help take a look at how personal sensitive data is collected and used. So I just think the oversight is worthwhile.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much. Okay, are there any other members of the public who would like to speak to Senate Bill 454? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Okay, we lost a member, and I don't know, I don't think she'll be gone too long. Would you folks rather wait to exec until she gets back, or do you want to just go ahead and start execing now?
Just presenting for one bill?
Yeah.
Give her 5 minutes, you think, or
Okay,
Where
well,
did she go?
to,
present a bill at HHS?
yeah.
Right.
Okay. And she said her bill was at 9:15, so she's pretty much right after you.
Right, yeah.
So, do you want to go into recess for like 10 minutes?
It's easier than hearing the bill
If we can
in
consent them,
session,
yeah.
Okay, all right.
especially this.
Yeah. The committee will be in recess for 10 minutes. Okay, so. The committee will come out of recess. Senator Reagan moves executive session. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Prentice. Okay, why don't we take up the bill that we just heard, Senate Bill 454. I think what I'd like to do is have an amendment here on this bill. We would like to reduce the members of the Senate from from 2 to 1, and then increase the members from the House from 2 to 3. So, and I'd like to propose that as a committee amendment.
So moved. Pass the amendment?
Okay, so,
Moved by, I'll second Senator Reagan's motion.
I already did.
You already did.
okay.
I'm
We're
just gonna,
fast today.
I'm just gonna
Okay.
sit back
So
and,
I want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
yes.
We're voting on a committee amendment that would reduce the members of the Senate from 2 to 1, and the House members to increase from 2 to 3. Is there any further discussion on the proposed committee amendment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Is there a motion on the bill as amended?
Ought to pass as amended.
Okay, Senator Reagan moves on to pass as amended, seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. Okay, is there any further discussion on the bill as amended? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, is there a motion for the consent?
Consent.
Senator Reagan moves
Second.
consent, Senator Kavanaugh seconds. Is there any discussion on the bill, on the consent motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, okay. Chantel, I'll do this one. And the only reason why is because we're in the same office, so as she gets them done, we're not chasing people down for blurbs. Okay, so what I'd like to do is to move numerically through here, but first, I just would like to talk a little bit about the bills that I'm asking to hold. The first is Senator Kavanaugh's bill, Senate Bill 411. I'd like to try to hold this one as long as we possibly can. Next is Senate Bill 361, requiring that bail commissioners be reimbursed for mileage. This one is still being worked on. And we have Senate Bill 333, an act relative to licensure of case management service providers. Senator Avard has asked that we hold that bill. And I think we'll stop there. So those three are definite holds. So, okay, let's get everything else. The first bill that I'd like to take up is Senate Bill 228, and this is relative to the regulation and practice of physician's assistants. The parties have worked together, they have met. We have an amendment. It's been proposed by Senator Bradley, who is the sponsor of the bill. Everyone should have received a copy of that. That is amendment number 0768S. Is there a motion on the amendment?
Move the amendment.
Okay, Senator Reagan moves amendment 0768S and seconded by Senator Ricciardi. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, is there a motion on the bill?
Pass as amended.
Okay, Senator Reagan moves ought to pass as amended. Is there a discussion? Senator Prentice?
Oh, no discussion. I was just
Oh,
gonna second
okay.
the motion.
Is there a discussion on the bill as amended? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Consent.
Senator Reagan moves consent. Is there a discussion on the, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. Okay, is there any discussion on the bill as amended? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, and I will do the blurb on this one, Chantel. Okay, next we have Senate Bill 330, an act relative to reciprocal licensing requirements for boards, commissions, and councils administered by the Office of Professional Licensure and establishing registration of paid feeding assistance programs. I have,
I move the amendment 0802.
Okay. Senator Reagan moves amendment 0802S. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Senator Rishardi. Is there any discussion on the amendment? I was just gonna say, what I did, I worked with OPLC, because the underlying bill had a number of issues with it that came out during the public hearing. And, the director of OPLC had talked about how they wanted a study committee to really delve into their issue of authority, that there seemed to be some conflicts. So, there was an agreement that we were just gonna wipe the bill and we were going to do the study. So, and again, there's also here, there is an addition relative to the Boxing and Wrestling Commission, putting them under the OPLC as well. And then there is, relative to the expiration of the terms of the Board of Forester members. So it ends up being a study committee with a little bit of a cleanup with it. So, okay, so we have a motion of ought to pass on amendment 0802S. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, is there a motion on the bill? Okay, Senator Reagan moves ought to pass as amended.
Seconded.
Seconded by Senator Prentice. Is there any further discussion on the ought to pass as amended motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Senator Reagan moves consent. Seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. Is there a discussion on the consent calendar motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Chantal, this one's mine too. Okay, next we have Senate Bill 359, requiring the Commissioner of the Department of Administrative Services to conduct an inventory of all state real estate. We do have an amendment from Senator Perkins Polka, which is 0607S. Is there a motion?
I move ITL.
Okay, we have an ITL motion on the amendment. Is there a second? Okay.
You want to pass?
Okay, we have an ought to pass motion for the purpose of discussion.
And I'll second that.
Okay, so,
And I'd
Okay.
like to speak,
Yes,
when the time is
please.
right, I can speak
yep,
to
nope,
this.
go right ahead.
So since we, and thank you, Senator Carson and members of the committee, since we left when we initially heard this discussion, I've worked with Senator Perkins Quokka, and she has been diligently meeting with Administrative Services, DOT, Department of Transportation, and Forest and Lands. The main changes you'll see in this amendment have to do with, first of all, we know that there is already this reporting requirement that is in place for these buildings. And so what it does is it adds to that reporting requirement asset clarifications when these inventories are updated, and that would be active, inactive, and surplus. So they defined those, and really I'm trying to find my primary set of notes, what we're trying to get at here is making sure that the surplus properties are routinely updated and reported out, and they've even narrowed it to a set of communities, municipalities, in the last section of the amendment that have these, as we heard before, it's 54 properties that would be under consideration. Now, Forest and Lands took part in this discussion because they wanted to make sure that when we're talking about active and inactive, that what did not come under consideration in this asset clarification is any land that was held, managed, or used. So we're only talking about state-owned properties that do not have a connection to forest and lands, that are currently empty and unoccupied. And the overall goal of this bill is to make a more efficient pathway for the state to move property, define it as surplus, make it available. The hope, really what we're looking to do here is make this so that it is purchased for affordable housing. It is in key locations, as you can see in the communities that have been cited. And I've had this kind of, one of the reasons I worked with Senator Perkins Quokka on this in particular is because we've been through this experience with Lebanon And I have understood and heard from Senator Reagan that there is a process in place, but we have an opportunity here to take this a step further, get these clarifications done, which is actually what we did in our city, so we knew what was available and made decisions on what we were gonna keep and what we were gonna sell. And when we sold it, then it's, especially if it goes to a developer or not-for-profit, there is the ability for that community to actually bring that onto the tax rolls in part or in all as well. So it moves us towards prime locations for more affordable housing, cleans up the reporting process, defines these assets, the asset clarification, and protects lands that are held, managed, or used. So I think that there was a lot of strong collaboration on this. That's what I'd like to say, and I thank everyone for their time.
Thank you. Senator, did you have conversations with the Department of Transportation as well?
Yes, the three stakeholders involved in the conversations were Department of Transportation, Forest and Lands, and Administrative Services.
Okay. Thank you. Senator Reagan, did you?
So I still object that this is not a necessary, it's an intrusion of the legislature into executive operations. And it's the departments that own property now have methods to track the value of the property and to have it available for when they want to construct things or when they want to dispose of things. And I just think this is an unnecessary intrusion.
Okay, are there any further comments, questions? Okay, we have an ought to pass motion. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed.
Senator Ricciardi, do you have a vote here?
Opposed.
Okay, so the amendment fails 3-2. So now we have the underlying bill. Is there a motion on the underlying bill?
I move inexpedient to legislate.
Okay, Senator Reagan moves ITL. Is there a second? I will second it. Okay, is there any further discussion on the ITL motion? Senator Prentice?
I just, again, respectfully with Senator Reagan's comments, want to point out that not only in the governor's state of the state, but we've seen a lot more media attention on the fact that there is a problem with affordable housing and housing stock for particularly our workforce. And this is an opportunity for us to take action. I don't think that it's an intrusion, but I do respect Senator Reagan's experience and history in this area. I just want to bring it up that there's this larger picture that we're trying to accomplish with this bill. So I just wanted to lay that on the table and move forward.
Okay, thank you. Senator Reagan, did you have your hand up?
So as the chairman of Capital Budget Committee, which we see to all of these projects, this is such an roundabout way to get affordable housing by intruding on all the operations of all the different departments that construct things. This just doesn't, it's just a nonsensical tactic to get affordable housing. If you want affordable housing, pass legislation to build affordable housing.
Senator Prentice?
And again, respectfully, I think it creates a clearer pathway and working with the departments for these buildings to be moved in a more timely manner to be made available, get an asset classification, and if they're surplus, become available, with the direction for affordable housing. So that's, I wouldn't have brought forward a bill to address this if, we didn't want to try to be creative and approach this issue differently. And I, again, harking back to my own experience in Lebanon, it took us years to get the West Bar Yard, which was state-owned property that was within city borders, that was not maintained, was a significant hazard. And although that wouldn't become housing, it is, now in the hands of the city and has, with the help of the state and a partnership, has been cleaned up so we can do something with it. So, but it took, I was on the council for 12 years, took 10 of those years to get us into a direction, and not all of that was trying to make the purchase, but, so that's why this made sense to me, Senator, and why I wanted to support it, but I respect your position. Okay, so I think we're good.
Okay, so we have a motion of ITL. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Nope.
So 3-2. Senator Reagan, will you take this one out?
Yes, opposed.
Okay. Next, we have Senate Bill 362, an act relative to training as a certified service plumber. I think everyone should have gotten a letter from Mr. Doucette, who's the chair of the Mechanical Safety and Licensing Board. Everyone got this? Should have. Okay. They provided us with an update on Senate Bill 362. And they are they're going to be going through the rulemaking changes they need to do to address this issue. So in that case, this is not, we don't need to do this. They're going to do it through rules.
Move ITL?
Okay, so we have a motion of ITL. Senator Reagan?
I have a question. Where is the legislation coming from that authorizes the rule change?
I don't think there is. I'm not sure if, that's an issue that never came up. Well,
Couldn't they do that, the board do that, if they wanted to?
I don't, usually a rule comes from a change in the law.
I see, Director Courtney, would you like to come up? So maybe you can answer that question, because it was my understanding they had the authority to do that,
They do.
but just make sure.
Thank you, members of the committee. Lindsay Corney, Executive Director, OPLC. I do believe under the existing enabling statutes that they have present authority to promulgate rules to implement this change.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure you were here. We might as well use the expertise. I kind of thought that was that they had the existing authority, but to hear from the director is probably a good thing. So we have a motion of ITL. Is there, was it seconded, Chantal? Seconded by Senator Reagan. Okay. Is there any further discussion on the ITL motion? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Consent.
Okay, Senator Reagan moves consent. Is there any discussion on the consent calendar motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I guess Chantal will be doing this one too. Okay, next we have Senate Bill 363, an act relative to service credit for certain Group 2 retirement eligibility. We did receive a letter from Commissioner Arlinghouse concerning this bill, and I would like to move that this bill is to interim study this bill.
Second.
Seconded by Senator Reagan. Yes, Senator Prentice, I know,
I have an amendment for this bill. Does Director Arlinghouse's letter consider the amendment which shifts this from local to state? I imagine it does. If it's state, I have not seen the letter yet.
you should have received this, it's a 2-page letter from, and it was sent out to everyone.
Okay, sorry.
Do you have it?
I think I do.
Okay, it should have gone out. Okay, so, I will withdraw the motion, well, because if people haven't seen it and they haven't read it, I'd like to be able to give folks the time to be able to do that. So, because I believe it was sent out last week. Okay, let's go to Senate Bill 382, an act relative to licensure requirements for telehealth services. We should have also received a letter concerning from the OPLC office. So, is there a motion on Senate Bill 382?
Watch pass.
Okay, we have an ought to pass
Second.
motion on Senate Bill 382. It's been seconded by Senator Reagan. Did everyone get the letter from the office of OPLC?
Yes.
Okay,
That, yes.
okay. So we have a motion. Okay, I will wait till Chantel's sitting.
Thank you.
Senator Kavanaugh did not get a copy of that as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And Senator Reagan. Okay. Oop. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to recap, Chantal, we have, there's a motion of ought to pass, moved by Senator Kavanaugh, seconded by Senator Reagan. Is there any discussion on the ought to pass motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Is there a motion? Okay, Senator Reagan moves consent.
Second.
Is seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. Is there any discussion on the consent calendar motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Chantal, you get this one too. Okay, next we have Senate Bill 383, an act relative to land surveying services. You should have received an amendment, and I'll explain what happened here. We tried diligently to work with all the parties. They haven't reached a meeting of the minds yet, and it surrounds the issue of the right to entry that there is the biggest conflict. So the agreement was that we were going to delete the first two sections which dealt with the right of entry and pass the sections dealing with licensure, which were sections 3 and 4. They are now numbered 1 and 2. And there was one change in section 2 of the bill that dealt with the licensure, and it is included here on line 7 and 8, the words "and is in good standing" with the registering or licensing body. So you want to make sure if someone who's applying for a reciprocal license here in New Hampshire that they're licensed and they are in good standing in the state that issued the license. So that's the amendment. Is there a motion on amendment 0795S?
Ought to pass.
Okay, Senator Ricciardi moves ought to pass. Is there a second? Senator Reagan?
You're confused. I'm confused about what bill we're on.
Okay, we are on Senate Bill 383, an act relative to land surveying services. Did I skip one? No, I don't think so. This one.
Yeah, I know that, but something that you're talking about telehealth.
No, this is dealing with the land surveyors. So just to recap,
And it provides the proper notification, which was the.
that's
That
all
was what I
that's,
heard the most of the emails.
yeah, that's gone. They've got to work all that out. So right now, the only issue that we're looking at is the licensing.
Which is the 178. Okay.
Yep. So,
I'll second the amendment.
okay. So there is a second on amendment 0795S. Okay, is there any discussion on the amendment? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We have a motion of ought to pass as amended. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion. Ought to
Okay,
pass as
Senator
amended.
Ricciardi makes ought to pass as the motion. Ought to pass as amended. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. I see, Mr. Thompson, you had your hand raised. Did you have a question?
Yes, real quick, Senator, Simon Thompson with the New Hampshire Land Surveyors. The section on the penalty for unlawful land surveying services, that didn't get removed, did it?
Everything that was in sections 1 and 2 that dealt with right of entry is gone.
Good.
Okay, so this, we have a motion of ought to pass as amended. Is there any further discussion on the ought to pass as amended? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Is there a motion for consent? Okay, so Senator Reagan moves consent, seconded by Senator Rishardi. Okay, so we have, is there any discussion on the consent calendar motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All, any opposed? Okay. Why don't we have Senator Rishardi do this? Okay. Next, we have Senate Bill 433, an act relative to online access to state information on economic relief disbursements. I would like to move an expedient to legislate on this bill. Is there a second?
Did you say, hold on a second, 323?
433.
433.
Yeah, we got a lot of 4s and 3s with some of these bills, so,
There's only 10 numbers I can work with.
I know.
Senate Bill 433.
433, there sometimes gets a little confusing. So this deals with relative to online access to state information on economic relief. I would like to move an expedient to legislate. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Reagan. And the reason is, and I sent, you should have all received this. I had Chantal send this to you.
Yeah.
We already do this. This is the latest report that came out as of 2/15/2022. So we already do this.
So we have, so the list by who received economic relief and exactly how much?
Yep. General category, category summary, the amount.
Okay.
Yep. Allocations within each, I mean, you got Hampstead Hospital purchase, consolidation with behavioral. So it's telling you, the general category, who it went to, even the fiscal item, and how much. So this is something that we're already doing.
There was a, may I?
Yep.
There was a point in time when this was not available or not, it wasn't available in a public format on the website, so maybe this is caught up since the time the bill was
It very
filed.
well could.
So I understood this just as a transparency
Yep.
bill by Senator Whitley, because one of the text messages I just got is in relation to some of the funding or someone's looking for, so, okay.
There, so we have a motion of ITL on Senate Bill 433, and it's been seconded. Is there any further discussion on the ITL motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Consent.
okay, we have a motion for the consent calendar. Is there any discussion on the consent calendar motion?
Second.
Oh, you want to?
Did you move consent? Did you need a second? Okay.
Okay, that one skipped by me. So moved by Senator Reagan, seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so Chantal, it's me again. Okay, next we will have, well, let's hold off. Could you text Cameron and let Senator Sherman know that we're ready for him? And so while we're waiting, why don't we take up Senate Bill 433, an act relative to municipal authority regarding state building code. We have an amendment. It is amendment number 074S. Is there a motion on the amendment? Does everyone have it?
Which,
0746.
bill number?
This is bill number 433, an act relative.
No,
443. See what I mean about the numbers?
Okay, yeah, I think we just need to.
It's 433, an act relative to municipal authority regarding the state building
Who
code.
wants to pass on the amendment?
Okay, Senator Reagan moves ought to pass. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. This is the result of most of the parties coming together, I should say. The electricians did have some language that they would have liked to have included in this, but I had already gotten this amendment, so I've asked the electricians to wait if this bill, when this bill gets over to the House, that they can bring this up, and we will support it, and I will bring forward a proposed amendment to the committee. But this is the result of the Building Code Review Board meeting and discussing the bill, and these were the recommended changes that they felt would work.
And they're willing to take on the workload.
Yes.
That was, yeah.
Mhm.
I saw an
Yeah,
email
it's-
from Phil Sherman about that.
Yep. So this is, there's no fee are gonna be required. And what it really does is that they're gonna review, they're not gonna have the ability to make recommendations. They're just gonna review it. And they'll get back with the municipality. And what it does is that they have to, submit proposed amendments to the state building code to the board for review and confirmation prior to the adoption. And then it goes through the process, which was outlined within the bill, and they also tweaked some of that language as well. So I'm okay with this, because the main purpose is we've spent so much time getting these codes up to date and having them be in one particular area, that when municipalities adopt codes through ordinances, the state building code review board doesn't really get access to those. So once again, you're starting to get this patchwork of codes around the state, which makes it difficult for companies and individuals that are in the trades to be able to go into a community and figure out, well, what is the code? Did they go beyond the building code review board suggestions? So it's streamlining the process. It's not saying that the municipalities cannot adopt an ordinance. It's just, look, let us take a look at it. Let us take a look at it and know what's going on with it. So if you adopt it, we can have it in our book as well. So that's the end game. And just know that the electricians had some suggestions as well, but I just didn't have, we'd already gotten the amendment, so, but I've spoken with Mr. Thompson, and they're okay with that. Okay, so we have amendment 0746S. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Senator Prentice?
Thank you, Senator Carson. Just clarifying, section 1, the municipality may, so that leaves the
Yeah.
level of local control?
Yep.
Okay, that's,
Yeah, you've got to understand that they might have a specific reason for doing something. So they can. And we're not taking anything away from them, we're just putting an additional step in there.
okay.
And that
Where it
step
goes
is
to
to
the-
align with the state building review board.
And it takes out, I was concerned about the state fire marshal becoming almost a referee. And that's no longer in
Nope.
here.
Nope.
Not that they can't do, not that they couldn't do that job and do it well, but it seemed like there would be almost an undue workload in
Yeah.
2 places, so,
Yeah.
okay.
The only thing it does say
There
is
is-
that they just want to verify with the state fire
Yeah.
marshal, there's no conflict with the fire code.
Yeah, under
So-
4, enforcement
Yep.
agencies, selectmen, and the state fire marshal.
Yep.
Before it had language that said like they came in as a mediator if people couldn't,
Yep.
come
No,
to a.
we took, and again, my thanks to the board, the Building Code Review Board, they went through all of this, and
Yeah.
this was their suggestions.
Phil Sherman's email was really detailed and it was
Yep.
great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have a motion to pass on amendment 0746S. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we have a motion of ought to pass as amended. Is there any discussion on the ought to pass as amended motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, is there a motion for the consent calendar?
So moved.
Moved by Senator Ricciardi, seconded by Senator Reagan. Is there any discussion on the consent calendar motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and I'll take this one as well. Okay, now we're going to go back to Senate Bill 438, and Senator Sherman is here, and he has a proposed amendment for us, and he can walk us through the amendment. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning. I'll be referring to Amendment 0761 S. For the record, I'm Senator Tom Sherman, District 24 on the Seacoast. So the charge from the committee, and thank you, Madam Chair, for joining us at that first work session, was to work this out. And I think we have. We've involved all parties, including Department of Administrative Services, the contractors, the steel fabricators, and we realized, or I realized, when we had the hearing that there were problems with the original bill. So this is essentially replace all. One of the first problems that was identified by the contractors, and I really want to thank Gary and his crew for helping out so much, was that the original bill had a very broad definition of manufactured steel. And so what we've done is we've not only switched to using the industry definition, but we've also added in, you'll see in lines, I believe it's lines 18 through 23, really specifically making sure that we are specifically excluding products that were of concern to the manufacturers, which was never intended to be a part of this bill. This bill was really meant to support our 4 major fabricators in the state of New Hampshire, and also recognize the impact of COVID and how supply chain is more tenuous than we ever thought. So you'll see in that definition component that it is much more specific, and it does, it allows this designation or for exactly what we wanted, but it does not, it's not broader than that. The second part is who is impacted by this. These are state contracts greater than $1 million. So it's not going to be small state contracts, and the Municipal Association was okay with the current language. And finally, and then the next component was, what about the exceptions? So we worked with Department of Transportation, the manufacturers, and the fabricators, and we ended up with the exception rule that's in this amendment. And finally was the issue of what happens if you misbehave. And that's down on lines 20, on page 2, lines 26 through 32. And that is from the Department of Administrative Services. So we're using what is essentially their standard language and process for people who are not compliant with department rules or statute. So hopefully that hit the 4 major points which is really the whole bill, but hopefully that hit those points, and all stakeholders, we have queried them over and over again over the last 3 weeks, appear to be on board with this current amendment.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Are there any questions from the committee?
Move the amendment ought to pass.
Okay, Senator Reagan moves ought to pass on Amendment 0761S. Is there any discussion on the amendment? And I'd like to thank you, Senator Sherman,
Sure.
for all the hard work in bringing everyone together and coming up with this amendment. I think it's a huge improvement over what was originally filed. And it seemed to answer a lot of the questions
Right.
that had existed about the program, because if you didn't do the work, then probably it's going to fail.
Right.
It's going to fail. So I think you've done a really good job here. So
Thank you.
Okay. So are there any further comments or questions on Amendment 0761S? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we have a motion of ought to pass as amended. Okay. Is there a move by Senator Reagan, seconded by Senator Kavanaugh? Is there any discussion on the ought to pass as amended motion? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
Consent.
Okay, we have a motion for the consent calendar.
If I could just, I would love to highlight the bipartisan collaborative way of this on the floor of the Senate, if that's okay, but if you'd prefer to have it go on consent, I'll defer to you.
You have the right, Senator, to pull it off consent
Okay.
and speak to it, so. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a consent calendar motion. Is there any further discussion on the consent calendar motion? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank
I
you
will
very
take
much.
This one. Yep, okay. So I'm just gonna put here, this is gonna come off consent. Okay. All right, so that is what we have so far. We have two that I think that we have put aside. One is 363, and that is because individuals did not have an opportunity to read the letter. And then we have Senate Bill, I believe, 434, relative to the reduction in calculation of state retirement immunities to age 65. I see Mr. Carlin is here. Mr. Carlin, would you like to come forward to maybe give us a little bit more information? We do have the briefs. Everyone should have received the briefs from the retirement system. Would you like to recap those for us, Mr. Carlin?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Marty Carlin, representing the New Hampshire Retirement System. Senate Bill 434 is it has been introduced in prior years, essentially the same bill. What the issue it addresses is under current law, when a Group 1 employee and teacher member turns age 65, their pension is recalculated to a lower amount, a little bit less than 10%. Basically, if someone retires between 60 and 64, they get one amount until the month after they turn 65. If someone works beyond 65, their benefits just calculated at the lower amount from the get-go. This was a change made to the law back in 1989 when the legislature delinked NHRS benefits from Social Security and removed a Social Security offset from New Hampshire law. And at the time, the legislature kept this 10% reduction in at age 65, from what I read as more of a funding concern. At the time, folks who were retiring, the full retirement age under Social Security was 65 for those folks, but there were reforms to the Social Security law in the 80s, and anyone born after 1960, which is pretty much most of the workforce now, their full retirement age is 67. So what the bill seeks to do is to push that recalculation of the benefit from age 65 to age 67 for future retirees.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. I'm just concerned that it according to the financial considerations, it would increase employer contribution rates, and it would also increase the covered payroll for teachers as well. So there is a pretty much a defined cost to both the state and to the municipalities and to the teachers. We did not hear from any of the teachers how they felt about having this increased deduction in their pay.
Actually, the increase would be in the employer rate for teachers. So all of the costs would be on the employer side. The member contributions wouldn't be affected by this. There's two pieces to that cost. There's essentially the unfunded liability of everyone who's been working so far, who would be getting a larger benefit for 2 more years. And then there's an ongoing change to the normal cost, which is the amount we collect year over year to fund a future benefit, that takes into account, the fact that the change has been moved backwards. So the unfunded piece would be paid off over 20 years, and the normal cost change is a permanent change going forward to the employer contribution.
Okay. And what would happen if we did nothing? We just left it the way that it is? Is there any penalties from Social Security or any of that?
No, there's no, New Hampshire law has no linkage to Social Security, so there's nothing on our end, it just, yeah. No.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone have any further questions for Mr. Carlin? Okay. Seeing none. Thank you very much, Mr. Carlin.
Thank you.
So,
Some comments, so.
yeah, okay, so do we have a motion on Senate Bill 434? Okay, Senator Reagan moves ought to pass. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. Senator Kavanaugh, you have?
No, I think it's a good thing to do. I think it's, retirees on this fixed income, getting that deduction, I think it's correcting that and moving forward. So that's why I
Okay.
put it in.
I just wanted to make sure everyone understood just exactly what we're doing, because the retirement system can be pretty complicated sometimes. So, okay, are there any other comments on Senate Bill 434? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we have a 5-0. Is there, Senator Reagan has moved consent, Senator Kavanaugh has seconded. Is there any further discussion on the ought to pass motion on, the consent calendar motion on Senate Bill 434? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and I will do the blurby thing on this one. Okay, we have, would you folks, would you like to take a few minutes to read the memorandum on Senate Bill 363? So the committee will be in recess for 10 minutes. Well, we got this from, I just want to make sure that everybody read this from the Department of Administrative Services. And I don't know why you folks didn't get it, you should have.
We got too much stuff.
Yeah, well, from Chantal?
Not from this committee.
Oh, well,
Just get bombarded with stuff.
yeah, I know. Well, I want to make sure everybody has it. That's the problem.
I'm sorry,
Yeah?
I didn't see it, but now I have it in front of me.
Yeah, nope, I would just,
I would rather raise my hand and say, wait a minute.
yep, that's not a problem. I try to, whenever we get things, I want to make sure the committee gets them just as soon as we get them, so.
Would you mind if we held 363?
Do you want to hold it
Yeah?
to do when we come back?
What's the date? March?
Oh,
For the
we are, we have to have the fiscal note bills out by the 17th of March. They have to
okay.
be on the floor. So we would have to do it when we come back from vacation, from our
Would you
week off.
mind that? Just to,
Do you,
I mean, we got time.
We have time.
Listen to Marty.
yeah, do you want,
Okay.
Marty Carlin needs to be part of the discussion.
Okay. I don't know if he's seen the
He's
letter
reading
from,
now, I think so.
yeah, he's reading it now.
We
So,
got time now. We got time, yeah.
yeah, we've got some time, and we're in recess for 10 minutes, so everyone can read the letter, and, because I know when we got it, I had it sent out.
Yeah, I must have missed it.
Okay. Because that way, if you wanted to have a meeting with the commissioner, or you wanted to talk to Marty, you would have more than enough, ample enough time to do that. Because you might want to come up, there might be an amendment, who knows?
Right, yeah.
So, okay. And since I didn't hear from anybody,
Can I read your copy?
you what?
Can I read your copy?
Yeah. No.
I know, I can use that this morning. It's like that parking garage is melting though. I was walking in, getting dropped on with that.
Yeah, we're gonna
All the
get
condensation.
anywhere between up to 12 inches of snow tomorrow, Friday.
Oh, you're kidding me, really?
No, I'm not kidding.
That's why I was looking for your name. Oh, that was done.
They've even entered a winter storm watch today.
That's what I was saying.
And then we're going back down into the 30s. We should have, there should be a rule. We have the snowstorm, and then the next day it's 60 degrees. Because then, you know, like in a couple of days, it'll be gone.
What was that lady's last name? 'Cause I'm just. Search. I don't know, it didn't come through, I just checked. Maybe it went to spam, I don't know.
See, if it comes from E. Regardless.
It doesn't matter, but just for future, because I searched and it's not here.
And Jess would be very good about pulling things that come in and making sure that they're pushed to my attention if I'm not in the office or they're in the binder.
Oh, God.
There's like 1, 2, 3 things that
Oh, I gotta look at that.
word indeterminable.
That's a copy and paste. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll send this over too. Well, I just gotta request to hold this. Let them, they wanna meet, try to figure it out, so
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
So let's not rush.
Okay, so can we, are you okay with that, John? The parties wanna try to get together and figure it out.
Who are the parties?
The retirement system and Jim Demers and let them try to figure it out. We got time. Okay, all right. Okay. The committee will come out of recess. The committee has decided that we're gonna hold, Senate Bill 363, and we will take it up, and exec this bill on our, meeting, I believe on the 9th of March? I think it's the 9th. Okay, so seeing we've completed our work for the day, is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're done for the day. Thank you all very much. So, okay, so this way you guys don't need to hang around. So you don't have to hang around for Blur. It's
Yeah,
just
no,
easier
that's
for me
easier,
to
yeah.
do the consent calendar one.
Especially right there, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And should, you know, Jessica reminds me, so should, I try to get on that because I know the aides are under pressure.
Yeah, so that way, I'll be here and I'll just go, okay, Chantal, boom, 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 all the way down. I believe there's 4.
It's good practice.